Hey, welcome to another Finance Friday. This is Jerry Fetta, CEO of Philanthro Wealth. So I'm going to be doing something totally new, never been done before in a Finance Friday. Make sure you watch this video, and there's a book at the end of this, at the beginning probably too. I'll share with you that you can grab to follow along with me. All right, let's go. Hey, welcome back to another Finance Friday. I'm Jerry Fetta, CEO of Philanthro Wealth, where we focused on creating wealth that restores life essentials and promotes human welfare. So I want to change things a little bit on these Finance Fridays. Okay, I like reading, and I should say I like reading things I'm interested in. Right, for the longest time, I didn't read anything. Like I think I scammed my way through every book report and everything I did reading wise from like eighth or ninth grade until I was like 18 or 19 years old, right? And it wasn't until someone presented to me books about money and business and things I was actually interested in. Because I wasn't interested in Romeo and Juliet. I wasn't interested in Macbeth, right? Like those were things people told me that, oh, you should know this. I've never once as an adult had a conversation with someone about Macbeth. It's never come up, right? There's so many things I learned in school. It's like, I just don't use this stuff, right? But what I want to do is I actually want to kind of share this as I'm studying some of these books I'm reading, share some of the concepts with you, right? A, because I know, the average person is probably not going to read a book. So I want to give you what I'm learning. And then B, those that are going to read a book, these are some very worthwhile books, right? And so there's a concept that I have called the founding fathers of wealth, the founding fathers of wealth. And what I want you to understand about me is that all of the stuff I'm teaching, I didn't come up with it. It wasn't my idea, right? And if it was my idea, like you should be very concerned because I'm 32 years old, right? So it's like, how how am I coming up with all this stuff all of a sudden, right? It's much more trustworthy and comfortable to be like, oh, that's a 200-year-old concept that he learned about and he's sharing it. Okay, so one of the books I'm reading right now, really good book. This is called How Not to Get Rich. Okay, this is the financial misadventures of Mark Twain. And I've been doing finances since 2012. I was 18 years old when I got my financial training and my first licenses and all of this. So it's been quite some time. That's almost a decade and a half now. And so I spent a lot of time studying, different tiers of content and curriculum. And the first of it was like, stuff that was produced by the companies I worked for. And that was more like marketing material, right? It was more marketing and material, client acquisition material. It wasn't real financial education. Okay, then I got into like regulatory exams, right? My insurance licenses and my investment licenses and all of these different licenses I had to get. And I would say that that also was not real financial education. Okay, not in the real sense of the word of education. It was information. Like I had to pass those if I wanted to, have that license and offer that product or service. It wasn't truly financial education. Next, I don't want to interrupt you too long. I just want to give you a free offer for my book, The Blueprint to Financial Freedom. If you go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo, you can get the book now. I'm going to let you get back to the video. Right. So I started to look at, okay, well, where can I actually learn? Like, how do you do money successfully? Because nobody has gone to a presentation from a life insurance agent and come out the other end and been like, I'm wealthy now. Right. Like, no, now I have insurance. That's great. Nobody has ever taken the Series 6 exam with the investment regulators. And at the end of it, been like, wow, I now know the path to wealth. Doesn't happen. So I started looking at, the Dave Ramseys and the David Bocks and the Steve Siebold's and these different people in the financial world. And each of them had their own opinion, their own voice, their own message. But I didn't come out of it with a clear understanding. And so what I started doing is I started studying old, dead, wealthy, successful people. Old, dead, wealthy, successful people. And I just looked at like, who do I want to mimic? And I remember reading, the biography of John Rockefeller, right? Wealthiest guy, arguably in American history. It's between him and Carnegie at various times. And I remember coming away from that book and thinking, this guy was kind of a dick. I don't think I want to be John Rockefeller, right? It's not someone I want to emulate. Sure, he might have some strategies, but man, he really messed some people up and he messed some companies up. And it wasn't something where I was like, I want to copy that. I want to emulate that. Right. And then I read JP Morgan's biography. Same thing. I was like, wow, there's a lot of brilliance and stuff in there, but kind of an asshole. Like, I don't really want to be this guy. So it became, not only like old, dead, and wealthy, but it was like successful in life. Like I would actually look at their life and say, that's my picture of success. That's what I want to do. Now, there's tons of people that I've looked at. There's about half a dozen or so that I consider founding fathers of wealth. For me, for philanthropy, these are the founding fathers. These are the people that I study. These are the people that we reference. These are the ideas that we use, right? And I had a bunch of people in this list of founding fathers, people like Ben Franklin, people like Andrew Carnegie, R. Nelson Nash, etc., where it's like these are exemplary people. But there's always been one figure in American history that I've admired and loved. And he's not a founding father of wealth from the standpoint of you should do this. He's the opposite. He's that uncle that did all of the wrong stuff, and he's able to tell us what not to do. Right? Here's the things to avoid. And that weird uncle is none other than our uncle Mark Twain. Right? If you Google Mark Twain quotes, some of the most hilarious stuff you'll ever see. Right? He's a renowned author. Right? He's one of the greatest writers in American history. He's got an entire forest named after him in Missouri, right? And he's one of these old classic people that was just honest and he said what he thought. And I think that that was what resounded with people. So this book is called How Not to Get Rich: The Financial Misadventures of Mark Twain. And I've been reading this, for a little while now again and diving into some of the different chapters. And really kind of the overall scope of this was that Mark Twain grew up poor, as a lot of us actually did. Okay, I grew up poor. I was a free lunch kid. I remember having bugs in my cereal and being told to eat it anyways. Uh, you know, being homeless and told we were just camping for the summer, but we didn't actually have a house. I remember all that stuff, right? So Mark Twain grew up poor, but he grew up in a family that really badly wanted to be rich. They really, really badly wanted it. And so when you mix, poverty with the desire for money for the sake of money, right? Just because you want to have a different social status, just because you want to, have money and have things, right? That makes for an interesting concept. And it's not a successful one. And so that was where Mark Twain started in the story is he grew up really poor and in a family that like they were all schemers. They're always looking for what's the next way we can try and get rich. Right. And so, one of the things that I thought was funny is he actually started smoking at the age of 12. I was like, holy cow. Right. But his dad had bought some land and it was speculative. He bought some land and he's like, I'm gonna buy this land for the family and you guys hold on to it. At some point, it's gonna skyrocket, it's gonna go to the moon, we're gonna sell it, we're gonna be a rich family. Right. So the dad passes away. And so they have this land throughout the whole story. But what I noticed with Mark Twain is he had this attitude of wanting the result. I call it the have. He wants the have. I want to have the end game. I want to have the result. I want to have the win. I want to have the thing, the trophy. But he wasn't willing to do the work. And so throughout the story, you'll find, him kind of romanticizing these grandiose ideas, right? And then he gets into it and sees that there's work involved. And all of a sudden he's not interested because he had this idea and this vision of like, oh, it's going to be this, super fun and easy and special experience. And he was painting everything in rose-colored glasses, right? Seeing the world through that lens. And then he would get involved and see that there's work. And then he would be like, oh, I'm out. And it's really a theme throughout the book here. And I'm probably a third of the way into it. And, just up to the parts I've read now, there was a few concepts I wanted to go over. One of them being that particular one. Right. So particularly with wealth building, it is a game, right? Like it is like a sport. If you have to play it like a sport, you have to play it like a game. And with any game, like I want you to just replace wealth with basketball, for example. If I was like, man, I want to make so many baskets and win so many games, and I want to have trophies and championship rings and all this different stuff that you see. And someone's like, good. So to do that, Jerry, you need to actually do the action of playing basketball. You need to take a ball and you need to go on the court and you need to practice and you need to compete. And I'm like, no. But I want to do it without that. I want to do it without that. I don't want the work. I don't want, the time consumption. I want zero effort and I want to have all this stuff on the back end. Right? You would think I was crazy. You'd be like, dude, like I'm telling you, like I get it. Yes, I understand. But unless you pick up a freaking basketball, you're not going to get any of those things because you can't win at basketball if you don't actually do the action of playing basketball. And so with money, we have this. Oh, I want to have passive income, yet I'm not willing to work hard. I'm not willing to, work in the evenings or the weekends. I'm not willing to save money instead of spending it on things that I want. I'm not willing to study about finances. I'm not willing to do the action of being an investor and actually being in control of this stuff. You will not build wealth if you are a spectator trying to have the results of a player. Hey, what's up? Jerry here. I just wanted to give you another reminder. Grab my book, Blueprint to Financial Freedom. It's going to be one of the best books you have ever read on finance. I can promise you that. You're going to love it. It's also a free offer. So if you go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo, you can get that now. Okay, we've all seen these people with sports. They're fat, they sit on their couch with their pants unzipped, eating their Pringles, and they refer to their football team as we. Oh, we this and we that. And it's like, dude, you're not on the team. You're not on the team. You don't play. You don't go to practice. Like, you're not part of the group. Hey, you're a fan. You're a spectator. That's not we. That's they. They did that. They worked hard. They won games. They have a championship. I watched all of it. Okay. And you can't be a spectator and then share in the victory of the players. You have to get on the floor. You have to get on the field. Right. And so I see in this book already, Mark Twain, especially in these earlier chapters, wasn't willing to do that. He was a spectator. And there's a chapter that really exemplifies that, where him and his friend, they're in Nevada. Back in the day, they're up in northern Nevada with the forest and stuff. And it's before it was populated with casinos and all of this. They're camping. And they're there because they're trying to strike it rich with silver mining. They want to mine for silver, and they think it's just going to be like sitting in the hills waiting for them. And they just merrily scoop it all up and come back, and they're the heroes, and they're going to have all this money. And, while they're camping, they haven't even started trying to do the mining yet. While they're camping, they accidentally burned down the entire forest. Not kidding. And as a guy that's like, hey, let's restore life essentials, I was like, that's horrendous. I've also been to Nevada. It's very beautiful. They burned down the entire forest. And as that's happening, they just sat there and watched. In their defense, maybe because it's so remote, they couldn't do anything about it. Maybe they didn't have water. There was nobody to tell, but they just sat there and watched it. Then when it was done, they went to sleep. Right. And I looked at that particular chapter and I was like, that is the definition of spectating. They're spectating. They're like just watching. Like, I lit the forest on fire, taking zero responsibility for it. I don't have remorse. They were like watching in awe, like, wow, this is such a cool thing we're looking at. And I'm like, no, dude, you just burned down a forest. Like, Smokey the Bear is going to be pissed, and he's not even like alive yet, and you're going to piss him off. Okay. So he's spectating. And you see this, he gets then to Nevada where he's mining, and he's literally thinking the silver's going to be waiting in the hills for him. And he gets there and realizes you've got to dig. And he realizes you got to dig super deep, like tunnels. It's not like, oh, I did a little bit of digging and now I found the silver. No, you really have to dig. So he abandons that job. He abandons that idea because it's too much work. Then he starts working in the camp where he has an actual job where someone pays him a wage. And he goes to his boss and basically says, give me, I think it was like $400,000 a month pay for like being like a roustabout in the camp. He wasn't doing anything special or important. And the guy basically was like, get out of here, you're fired. Right. And so Twain was literally like, instead of working, I'm going to risk losing the only job I have for the chance that the guy might say yes. So he ends up unemployed again. And so this is highlighting this theme. And I see it with people today of like, I'm broke. And instead of doing the thing that's guaranteed to work, it's like, I'm going to take a chance on something because there's a chance I might bypass all the work. And what that tells me is that it's more important for that person to not have work, to bypass the effort, than it is for them to actually get the goal or the result. Like, if I follow path A, it's guaranteed to happen. If I earn, if I save, if I invest and I do all that stuff wisely and I keep hammering on it for the next 10 or 15 years, the way that it's being taught, it's going to happen. And it's guaranteed to happen if I do that, because if I save money, it will go into an account. If I invest and I don't lose it, it will continue to grow, right? So it's like, that's a pretty cut path. Or I buy something that never really has been tried before. Maybe it has, but it's very volatile and speculative. And there's a very high chance it won't work, but there's a small chance it will. And on that small chance it will, I get the easy way. I don't have to do any of the work. I get to avoid all that. And that's really one of the first mistakes I'm seeing here is bypassing the work, wanting the result without doing any of the things it takes to get the result and finding unusual ways to try and accomplish that. Right. And it's just pure laziness is what it is. It's someone that doesn't have the willingness to confront the effort it takes to accomplish goals in life. Right. And if you combine that with the desperation that comes with poverty and the wild-eyed, unusual ideas that come with a poor person who's trying to become rich, it kind of makes for this mess. And that's where I see a lot of Americans today is, oh, let's buy crypto. And it's like, oh, why don't you have a job? Right? Like I've talked to people that literally they can't afford to do training to learn about finances and they're paycheck to paycheck, but they have a crypto wallet, right? Or they bought Doge or they bought, GameStop back in the day or whatever it was. And it's the same thing Twain is doing, right? And at the end of the story, and I'm not there yet, but towards the end of the story, Twain talks about there's 2 times a man should never speculate: when he has money and when he doesn't. Right. So his lesson was never speculate, like quit looking for these get rich quick, strike one lucky thing and it's easy and you get to avoid all the work. And he ended up becoming an author. And here's the thing, guys, he didn't think he would enjoy being an author. He did it kind of accidentally. And he's like, this is dumb. Like, this is not something that I pictured myself doing. Right. But he was good at it. He ended up enjoying it as he did it more and more and more. And he's one of the most renowned authors in the world. But in his mind, that wasn't sexy. Right? Here's the thing I'm going to end on. Wealth and sexy generally don't go together. It's true. Wealth and sexy generally don't go together. Okay? It's overalls and work boots with a tractor. That's the real way people have consistently built wealth, figuratively and metaphorically speaking. Right? So this Finance Friday, again, check this book out again, How Not to Get Rich, The Financial Misadventures of Mark Twain. Really fun story, really well written. A lot of good lessons in there. I'll be back with more on it next week. I'll see you next time. Hey, this is Jerry Fetta here. I want to thank you for watching my video, watching my content. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to learn more about the blueprint to financial freedom and how you can achieve passive income that exceeds your savings, your expenses, your taxes, your generosity, and build wealth like the top 1%, I want to encourage you, grab a copy of my book, The Blueprint to Financial Freedom. You can go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo, or you can click the link in the description of the video here. The copy is free. You cover your shipping. We'll send the book out to you, and we'll send you an email with a bunch of great bonus material also for free. Get the book, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on my next content.